At first glance, this just looks like a standalone puddle. Most people walk past something like this without giving it a second thought. It's just a bit of seawater left behind after the tide goes out. But if you slow down and really look, you start to notice something completely different. There are tiny fish darting between the rocks, sea anemones. There's one right there. Sea anemones opening and closing with the movement of the water, small crabs hiding in the cracks, snails, starfish, algae. Every inch of this little pool is alive. It looks isolated, but it isn't. This tide pool only exists because of the ocean. The tide's bringing in fresh water, oxygen, nutrients, and new life. Even though it appears separate, it constantly is influenced by something much bigger than itself. And it's not just connected to the ocean. These pools are connected to each other too. During high tide, they're all part of one continuous body of water. What happens in one area can affect another. I think our bodies are a lot like that. When someone comes to see me with shoulder pain, knee pain, headaches, or tight hips, it's very easy to focus only on the place that hurts. That's what most of us naturally do. We assume that because the pain is here, then the problem must also be here. Sometimes that's true, but very often it isn't. I've seen people's neck pain improve after working around the ribs, shoulder pain that changed after releasing restrictions through the chest or even the hips, low back pain that had more to do with the feet than the back. That can seem surprising until you realize that your body isn't made up of separate parts. It's one connected system. One of the things that creates that connection itself is fascia. Fascia is the thin layer of connective tissue that surrounds and weaves throughout the body. Every muscle, every tendon, every ligament, every nerve, and every organ, all connected. They're all wrapped in and connected by this continuous web. Imagine trying to pull one corner of a spider's web. The movement doesn't stay in one place. The tension spreads across the entire structure. Your body behaves much the same way. When one area becomes restricted, your body is remarkably good at adapting. It redistributes the force, it finds another way to move. It compensates. The amazing thing is that these compensations allow you to function extremely well for years, until one day, they don't. The place that finally starts hurting isn't always the place that has been under the greatest restriction. It's just the place that reaches its limit first. That's why chasing pain doesn't always solve pain. If I only focus on the painful area, I might help temporarily, but if I don't understand why that area became overloaded in the first place, there's a good chance the problem will simply return. That's why my approach is always to become curious. Instead of asking, where does it hurt? I'm also asking, how did your body get there? What areas have quietly adapted over months or even years? Where has movement gradually become limited without you even noticing? What connections are hiding beneath the surface? Just like standing beside a tide pool, the more closely I look, the more I discover. What first appeared to be one isolated problem often turns out to be a part of a much larger story. And that's one of my favorite parts of this work, because when we stop treating the body as a collection of individual parts and start seeing it as one beautifully integrated system, we often find solutions that weren't obvious before. The tide pool reminds me that appearances can be deceptive. What seems separate is often deeply connected, and often the key to helping one small area is understanding the entire ecosystem around it.